Welcome back to the Spiritual Ride. I'm your host, Alyssa LeBlanc, and this week we're talking about intuition, how to tap into your intuitive gifts, how to make them stronger, how to tell if something is intuition or fear, something that people ask me about a lot. Okay, so what is intuition? Intuition is your guidance system. It's the way the universe guides you towards your path, towards the people you're supposed to be around, towards things that are going to help you. A lot of times when you're praying for answers, your intuition will guide you to the correct answer. So there are four types of intuition: clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. I think that we all have a combination of all of these senses, and I have found that most of us have one that's stronger than the other. Although I find that the more I develop one of these, another one starts to get larger as well. When you think of these intuitive gifts, clairvoyance is probably the one that comes to people's minds the most. This is what you see in movies, psychics seeing visions, seeing stuff in crystal balls, or people that have the ability to see spirits or angels outside of them. I often experience this in dream time. I've received a lot of messages of things that were either future timelines, or I think that they were parallel timelines of things that I needed to connect with to experience this in this lifetime. And I've actually had a lot of intuitive dreams that actually came true. And they were like messages in my mind, but they were visual. So clairvoyance is a visual gift. Claircognizance is when you just know something. It's just like a knowing that something is going to happen, a knowing that someone's energy is bad for you. Maybe you meet someone and you just know that they're your soulmate, or you know them from a past life. It's just this like, it's just knowing. It's just, you know how you know that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. It's like that gift. Clairaudience is hearing things. It's where you hear voices or you hear messages. I experience this as like downloads, where this is probably my strongest gift. I will just hear like a voice speaking to me, but it's not like a voice like outside of my head. It's like a thought. It's almost like I'm having a thought, but I'm aware that it's not me. And it's often very complete. So I like a really simple example is a couple years ago, I was trying to decide like what spiritual thing to get more into. And I just kept hearing go to yoga. And it was like weird because I'd done yoga and I wasn't that into it, but it wasn't a thought that I would have. And I started doing that and it helped. So you might experience this as like hearing stuff outside of you. You might experience this as getting messages in songs or hearing other people's conversations, but your ears like perk up, or you might just get downloads of thoughts or hear a voice in your head. And clairsentience is feeling. This is just feeling the energy, feeling that you should go in a certain direction, feeling that you should pick this book off the shelf, feeling that this person is going to be good for you or bad for you. And like I said, most of us have a combination of all these gifts. And I'm going to share with you how I learned to develop them more, because I think that as children, we have these gifts. And growing up in the world that we're in, we're often taught to ignore these things. And well meaning adults usually tell us, you're hearing voices, or, telling us not to trust ourselves. And the thing about intuition is, I really think it's about learning to trust yourself. It's about learning that you have all the answers and to stop looking outside of us for other people to give us the answers. So, when I was a kid, I had an experience of seeing something, aliens to be exact, and it was so crazy and scary that I completely turned off that gift. Like, I had this weird experience. My mom doesn't remember it, even though it was very traumatic. And I think like her brain got wiped or something by the aliens. I know that sounds weird, but I shut off a lot of my gifts because it was so terrifying. I didn't know what was happening. Then I started getting into spirituality in my early 20s. And the thing that really helped me with my intuition was actually plant medicine. because when I did ayahuasca and mushrooms, I just connected more to not only my higher self, but also the universe around me, my spirit guides, Mother Gaia, whatever you experience as like, whatever you think of when you think of like your spiritual connection. Maybe for you, it's God. A lot of people say the universe, spirit guides, higher self, higher timelines. The more healing work on myself I did, and the more I released trauma, the more I was able to hear my own voice. So when I would do plant medicine ceremonies, I experienced this in clairaudience because the medicine was like literally giving me downloads and messages, and I would see visuals. I would see visuals of things I needed to release. I would see visuals of what certain people meant in my life and what patterns they were representing, soul contracts, that sort of thing. So after I did plant medicine, my gifts turned on so much. But even if you're not into that, because it's not for everyone, meditation's a really great way to connect to your gifts because you are silencing, you're quieting your mind, and you're connecting with self. And tapping into your intuition is really, really about learning to connect with yourself because you really do have all the answers. You are being guided. I believe that we not only have spirit guides that are guiding us, but you also have your highest self, like your highest version of self, which is you. It's just you without all the trauma, you without all the negative stories about yourself, you without all the drama of being on this planet. The you that knows that you're truly safe and remembers why you came to the planet and what you're here to do. So the more you're able to like silence outside noise, the more you're able to connect with your intuition. And you'll start to probably recognize that one of these gifts is stronger for you. You might just walk into a room and be able to feel energy. You might just be able to feel if someone has like a funky vibe, or feel that somebody is like super interesting and is like gonna be your best friend. Or for me, this is funny because this book's about intuition. You know, a lot of the bookstores are closed now because of, I don't know, people don't buy books in stores anymore, but I love bookstores. So there's this one book, Barnes and Noble by my house, that I've been to twice. And both times I walked in, each time there was a different book that it was like the only copy and it was like facing right at me and it was exactly the book I needed. So the second time that this happened, it was this book called Trust Your Vibes by Sonia, I don't know how to say her last name, Sonia Coquette. And it's about intuition. And it was while I was having this struggle with a relationship in my life where I was feeling like this energy of this person was not good for me. But then I was kind of gaslighting myself and I was asking everyone around me, like, oh, am I just trying to self sabotage? Oh, is it just because I don't believe that I can have good friendships? Like, I kept asking people why. I was waiting for other people to explain to me, like, yes, I should keep this person in my life, or no, I shouldn't. But I kept having this really, really bad feeling. So I walk in and I see this book, and it's Trust Your Vibes. And I was like, oh, that's a sign for me not only to trust my vibes about the people in my life, but also I think I need to read this book. So I started reading it. I'm halfway through it, and I love it. It's so good. It's all about, like, again, she talks about connecting to our own selves, our own spirit. But the other weird thing that happened was when I got to the section about like releasing people in your life that are no longer serving you, you know, that you're not in a vibrational alignment with, because it can really drag you down energetically. And this is what I was feeling around this person. It was weird because I was reading this part in the book and then I started having clairvoyance. I started seeing in my mind me like radiating positive energy. And I knew that that was a message that once I learned to release these relationships and release stagnant energy, I'm going to be vibrating higher. So things like that can happen to you. Like you can hear a song on the radio and then maybe get a visual of what that means in your life, or you might see an angel number and have a feeling that that means you need to take this step, go on a date with this person, create a YouTube channel, whatever it is that you're into. Another thing that was really interesting is I feel like with intuition, this is how you can tell if it's intuition or fear. Fear is like panicky and loud and it's like scary. It's like trying to scare you. And you know, like I often think that I like leave my flat iron turned on and I rarely ever do, but like I have this like pattern of like needing to come home and check it. And it's like this panicky energy, like, oh, something's gonna happen to the house, you know? And it's usually not even, it's never turned on, but it's usually not even plugged in. But it's this panicky worry. And every time it happens, I go, I know that this is worry, but I'm still scared. Intuition is like softer, calmer. Even if it's telling you something that's going to be dangerous, like even if it's telling you, you know, maybe don't get on that plane, it's going to be like a calmer voice because it's not, it is coming from you, but it's coming from a higher you. It's coming from a you that knows that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. But it's like calmer and quieter. But intuition, it's just like a calmer, more stabilized, it's like a loving parent speaking to you. Versus fear is more like a scared little kid. So that's the other thing about intuition is the more you listen to it, the more it speaks to you. Like I noticed for me when I listened to that voice that told me to take yoga, I started getting other little voices that were like, just go here and do this. The thing about intuition is, I like to say, if you don't use it, you lose it. The more you start to listen to your intuition, the louder it gets and the more it talks to you. So it's like the more you're trusting it, the more it's trusting you with the information. And I feel like the more that I teach myself that I do have the answers, the more answers that I get. Another really powerful process that Sonia talks about in this book, Trust Your Vibes, is observe, don't absorb. And most people that are on the spiritual path, I feel, are empaths, and it might just be because we're more sensitive to energy, we're more open. But the more you're absorbing other people's energy, the less you're able to hear your own frequency and like your own energy. So another thing that can trip people up with intuition is you might get intuitive guidance and be like, according to human design, really lit up by something or really excited. And then something, when you're ready to take action, you might still have fear. This doesn't mean that it's intuition. It just means that you have like limiting beliefs in the way of you going after what you want. So you might get intuitive guidance to start a YouTube channel. And you know, you feel like this is part of your purpose for being a life coach or having a podcast or just expressing yourself more with this example. And then when it's time to film the video, you might have all these like limiting beliefs come up or all this fear come up, and it's not telling you that you're not supposed to take that action. It's you are still supposed to take that action. Your intuition is still guiding you in the right place, but now your work is to remove those limiting beliefs or to step through the fear and see that you're going to be okay. Because our intuition can tell us stuff that doesn't logically make sense, and it ends up making sense later. Like when I adopted my dog, my two dogs had just passed away. And I almost wasn't ready for another dog, but I had this feeling that there was a dog that was supposed to be mine. And I just got this intuitive guidance like, Google Yorkie rescues. And I was like, okay. And because I wanted a Yorkie puppy and I wanted him to be a rescue. And I stumbled upon this website where there was like 5 dogs for adoption. One of them was a Yorkie and it had just been posted that day. And I filled out the application and I still had all this fear like, oh, you know, he's so cute and he's a puppy and everyone's going to want to adopt him. And what's going to make them choose me? And I ended up getting to adopt him. He is my dog. He's my soulmate. But there was something that told me to like Google some random couple words about a rescue, and I was able to find him. Another example is my other dog. Oh, this is so weird. My dog that I had like 16 years ago, I had a dream about Scottish Terriers. I don't know why. And I like dreamed it. And then the next day I was really sad and something told me to go to this pet store to like pet the bunnies because it would cheer me up and I'd feel better. And I go to the pet store and I see all these puppies running around and there's one Scottish Terrier standing in the middle of these puppies staring at me. And I was like, oh my God, that's the dog from my dream. That's my dog. And I got him and we ended up having a beautiful life together before he passed a couple years ago. Rest in peace. But it's like things like that that like don't make sense but lead you in certain directions. A really fun way to start tapping into your intuition is like play games with yourself. So, what I like to do is like, it's almost like guessing things. Maybe if you get a beep that you have a text message, like close your eyes and see if you can guess, not guess, but tap into who is texting you. Or another fun thing is like to think about someone and send them energy and they might call you. I think another way to really learn to use your intuition is stop asking other people for advice. This is what our intuition is for. We're always being guided. And it's even stop asking your spirit guides for advice. Not that you can't say, like, lightly, I'm struggling with this. Please show me another way. Ask them once. But if you're constantly searching for signs, if you're constantly begging them to answer you, you're putting your power outside of you. And a lot of times when your spirit guides get quiet, it's because they know that you already have the answers. And it's like your job to up level yourself to that frequency where you know that you're powerful, because I think they are here to guide us, but they're also here to bring us back to our own power, because part of the reason we incarnated, I believe, is to learn to manipulate energy, to learn to shift the world with our higher frequencies, to learn the powers that we have. And one of those powers is intuition. So oftentimes when you think you're not being guided, it's because you're not fully listening to yourself and you're looking for other people outside of you to give you the answer. Other people don't have the answer. I've taken a lot of courses where I learned things and I felt like I up-leveled my life, but I found for myself when I had life coaches that I was just like, tell me what's wrong and how do I fix this area of my life? And was just like thinking that someone else had the answers. That was when I didn't shift at all. When I took courses that were teaching me how to tap into my own gifts or listening to people that were like referring me back to my own self and my own truth, I realized that I always had the answer. Here's like a backwards way to test your intuition. And by intuition, I mean by seeing what you really want and what's best for you. So let's say you have a decision to make and you don't know how to make it. Don't ask someone. Take a quarter and assign like heads. If I get heads, I'm going to do this thing. If I get tails, I'm not going to do this thing. And then you flip the quarter. Now, let's say you got heads and you're supposed to do the thing. You don't do the thing because the quarter told you heads. You see how you feel when you get the answer. Let's say you get heads and you go, God, I really didn't want to do the thing. That's your answer. Your answer is you didn't really want to do the thing. It's not for you. Don't do it. It's not putting your power outside yourself. It's really asking your soul, what do I want from life? What do I want to experience? What do I want to create in my life? What do I want to go after? You know what your desires, I believe that our desires are a gift from God, and the things that we most desire to do, we're meant to do. And sometimes we're scared to do them because we have limiting beliefs and we don't know how. But if you have a desire to do something, you have everything within you to be able to do it. One of the best pictures I saw on Instagram the other day, it was a picture of like the universe, and it said, you lack nothing. Use what I gave you. The universe gave us everything that we need in order to complete our dreams. It's just our job to like turn those things on. It's our job to awaken the gifts that we've already been given. Because if we desire something in this lifetime, we're meant to have it. And our intuition can guide us to get there. We just need to get quiet enough to listen to our intuition and stop listening to what everyone else tells us we need to do with our lives. You are meant to do what you most desire to do with your life. You were created whole, perfect, and complete. The universe gave you guidance systems to be able to see things, to be able to hear things, to be able to feel things, to be able to know things. Trust that you already have all these intuitive gifts, and the more you tap into them, the louder they will become. And the more you start to listen to your intuition, the more you will trust yourself, and you will realize that you are the leader of your life and you have had the answers this whole time. You are all you need. Much love. I hope you have a beautiful week.